entries that could, what are the different types of NC statements rather, I would put it this way. So these points we are going to discuss as far as your auditing management or the audit is concerned. Okay. So now, as I have already briefed you, the points which we are going to discuss or which we are going to go through are in context with ISO 19011-2018 standards. Okay, so whatever we are going to cover are, if you want to go in detail, right, you can refer this 19011-2018 edition for the audit management. Okay, now when I say audit, okay, what do you understand by the term audit? Can someone answer this for me? What is the definition of audit in a layman's language?
Anh tra về cái audit nhé.
Đánh giá.
Mình audit ai?
Yes, class, this is an open forum now. Yes, Santosh sir, please unmute yourself.
Ensuring all the processes or the procedures are followed as per the defined system or not.
As per the defined system or not. Okay. Anybody else?
What is audit? Audit.
Is audit.
To check the activity based on this operating procedure.
Examination.
The
Check the activity based on basis
inspection of account system documents on sampling basis. Okay.
Unbiased verification of our existing system, which is audited conforming to any of the relevant standards, and done on sampling basis.
Thì hỏi Ấn Độ xem, đang hỏi Ấn Độ xem là tại sao mình lại không có.
Okay.
Anh vừa gửi mà.
Verify physical with system already defined. Okay, thank you. Look, in layman's language, definition of current defined processes systems are built to meet standards and working as per defined system. Okay. So some of the other sense what he has said is okay, but in layman's language, look, it is when we conduct an activity for right? In our organization, we have basically systems, right? We have quality management system, right? Then we have product, and then we have process. So, in a layman language, what I would say is basically an action of your product, process, and system. In a layman language, right? What do? We evaluate. We evaluate our system. So that system could be quality management system, it could be your product, or it could be your process, right? And why do we evaluate, right? In order to identify whether the objective evidences which we collect during the audit are meeting the requirements or not. Now these requirements are nothing but your criteria, right? So requirement could be your IKF standards, it could be customer specific requirement, it could be statutory or regulatory requirement, it could be your national international standards, it could be procedures, it could be work instructions, it could be processes, it could be manuals, right? It could be KPIs, it could be anything, right? So that particular requirement we need to first of all identify, we need to define, right? So this is basically, in a layman's language, audit is nothing but evaluating your product, process and system, right? To ensure whether the evidences which you have collected are meeting the requirements or not, right? Now, what is the definition? As per ISO 19011-2018. Now I am going to tell you that particular definition. Right? I think someone has unmuted. Who's there? Okay, I think he's muted. Is muted now. Okay. Yeah. As per ISO 19011-2018, right? What is the definition? Audit is, okay? Now please listen me carefully, okay? Audit is systematic.
Systematic.
Cái gì anh?
Tắt rồi. Systematic nghe đúng không?
Matrix hay matrix?
Systematic nghĩa là mang tính hệ thống.
Documented process of collecting objective evidences. Okay? It is a systematic, independent and documented process of collecting objective evidences and evaluating it fully. Okay? And evaluating it fully in order to determine the audit criteria are fulfilled. Okay? I'll again repeat the definition. It is a systematic, independent and documented process of collecting objective evidences. Now here this word is very important, objective evidences, and evaluating it fully, right? So we need to evaluate the objective evidences against what? Against the audit criteria, right? Now what is the audit criteria? We are going to discuss against the audit criteria. So we need to see whether the objective evidences we have collected are in line with the audit criteria or not. So we need to evaluate the evidences to ensure the audit criteria is fulfilled, right? Now here the first three words are important here. When I say audit, it is a systematic, it is an independent and it is a documented process. Okay? Now why we call it as a systematic, right? Because audit is basically a planned activity, right? When we conduct an audit, we communicate the audit plan well in advance to the auditee, right? It is agreed by the auditee, right? And it is approved by the auditee. That's the reason why we call this process as a systematic process. Okay? Second point, it is an independent, right? Why we call it as independent? Because the audits are conducted by the method auditors. Now when I say method auditors, these auditors are unbiased auditors. It means that whenever you plan an audit, ensure that the auditors are not auditing their own processes. Otherwise, the audit will become biased, right? In order to make it an independent audit, what you should ensure is whenever, like whosoever is preparing an audit plan has to ensure the auditor is not auditing his or her own process. Always there should be a cross audit. Then only the auditor will be able to add values and it will be called as an unbiased audit or a method audit, right? Then third, it is a documented process. Now as you all know, ISO standard requires the records, the evidences, right? And in the 7 quality management principles, we have seen that one of the principle was evidence-based decision making, right? So this standard particularly asks for a documented evidences, documented records. So we call it as a documented process, right? Now all these, what we do, why we do, we in order to collect the objective evidences, right? So
objective evidences are nothing but the proofs, right? Are basically the supporting documents in order to prove that the non-conformity or the conformity, whatever you have raised, right, is meeting the requirement. So basically as an auditor, what you are going to do in audit, you are basically going to evaluate the objective evidences which you have collected during the audit, and you are going to verify it with the audit criteria, right? Now, I hope you have got an understanding of this audit definition. Any doubts, any queries in this on what is audit?
Cái này có phải là JP322?
Yes, class, any questions, any doubts?
Vừa C2 được chưa?
If no, I'll proceed further. If you
Đây đang nói đây.
Raise your hands.
Đang nói mà.
I'll wait for a moment. If questions coming in, I'll move forward. Mayor Sham sir, I'll request
you to please check your network.
Sorry,
Sorry, but I cannot help
you
you on this.
I mean,
I mean, for the audio issue.
Ready?
Okay,
right,
right
now,
now,
the
the
important
important thing here, what we are going to discuss about is, as we have seen in the standard, right, in clause number 9.2, we have discussed that when you prepare an audit plan, right, or when you plan for an audit, you need to define what is an audit objective,
Audit objective.
what is the audit scope, and what is the audit criteria.
What is?
Right? This is very important when you plan any audit. Okay, now,
Criteria.
my question to all of you is, what is audit objective? Can someone tell me in their own language, in their own understanding?
Google, chị Google, ơi chị Google. Audit objective. Audit objective, audit scope, audit criteria. What is it? Audit objective.
Yes, class.
Mục tiêu thì phạm vi với lại tiêu chuẩn.
What is? What is?
Yes, anyone?
Audit objective. Không biết chữ
Yes, Sagar sir, please unmute yourself.
Scope and criteria cái con đó. Bấm vào đây.
Sagar sir,
Chính là nó.
okay, Shashi sir. Okay, Lee
Hello.
is saying audit objectives are like parameters set and check achieve or not. Okay, Lee, thank you. Yes, Shashi sir.
In my point of view, audit is to assess or to check the system adherence as per the regulation defined earlier.
Okay.
That is it with the system adherence or not. So in the audit, basically, we have to assess these things.
Right, you are right, but this is, I would say, an half-hearted statement or an incomplete statement. I'll just give me some time. I am going to come to that particular point also. What is the responsibility of an auditor? Basically, when we audit, right? So in that point, I'll cover this point as well. My point is, what is an objective or what is a scope and what is criteria? Yes, Sagar sir, you are trying to say something.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir,
I want, I'm
Criteria là tiêu chí.
I
I
can
mean
hear
to
you,
say
sir.
like objective of the audit is like are we doing a process audit or are we doing a system audit, or are we doing a product audit? That is the objective, I guess.
Is that
Right. Right, sir. Basically, what you can relate is objective is basically why to audit.
mục tiêu?
Okay. Now, when I say why to audit, it could be is this audit is for evaluation of a supplier? Is this audit is for selection of a supplier? Is it for checking the effectiveness of the corrective action implemented? Is it an internal audit, or is it a stage 1 audit, or is it what you would say a pre-assessment audit? Is it a third party audit? Why? Right? So you need to define why to audit. Basically, right? So that we call it as an objective. Okay? Now, when I say scope, right? Scope is nothing but what to audit. So you need to clearly define what is to be audited. When I say what to audit, it is, now here sir, what you have said, that would come here. Is it a process audit, or is it a product audit? Is it a customer audit, or a location specific audit, or a part specific audit? What it is. So in scope we need to define the boundaries.
Chua, mấy con được không? Sáng
Right?
chị
So
mua
that
đấy.
is what, and when I say criteria, it is against
Mua về
what
chứ còn
you
trẻ
have
con
to
thì
audit.
chua quá đâu ăn được, thì bảo đem đến đây ai ăn thì ăn.
Thì em vào em ngọt quả nhá.
Đi gọt đi, ăn cho
When
tỉnh
you
ngủ.
define what, you have to also identify against what.
Nhìn nó vàng ngọt lắm nhưng mà
But your audit criteria. Like for example, when you will be conducting an audit, yes, as Madam sir rightly said, it could be policy, it could be procedure, it could be a standard, right? As I have already discussed, it could be DSRs, it could be legal requirements, it could be procedures, it could be work instructions, manual, it could be statutory regulatory requirements. So here the point is, as an auditor, you should not go beyond the audit criteria which is defined. You have to first of all you have to hold yourself within the scope of an audit, and you are not supposed to collect any objective evidences which is out of the audit criteria. This is a very, very, very important point. And whenever you plan an audit, right, when you prepare an audit plan, these are the important points which you should check while auditing, that whether the organization has defined the audit objective, whether they have clearly defined the scope, and whether they have defined the audit criteria. Are we clear with this concept?
Máy nhà hàng sử dụng bao lâu nhỉ?
12 tháng kể từ ngày sản xuất.
Yes, class. Any doubts, any queries?
17 chứ mà cái 26 đến 19.
Còn 2 tháng nữa.
Yeah.
The audit scope is when I say we need to check what is to be audited. Right now, when I say what is to be audited, you need to first of all define your boundaries. Right? You need to define your boundary conditions. Right? Whether the audit you are going to conduct is for a product, is it for a process, is it for a supplier, is it for system, is it for any specific location, is it for any specific product, is it for any specific line, right? So you basically need to define what is your boundary, right, as far as audit scope. So it is nothing but what to audit. I hope I have answered your query. Is it okay? Okay, thank you. When I say audit objective, yeah, Ravi Shankar sir, just give me a moment. I will answer Mehtam sir's question and then I'll provide you an opportunity to speak. Yeah. When I say audit objective, right? Audit objective is basically why do you need to conduct an audit? what is main purpose, right? What is an objective? Now, when I say what is an objective, when you define a scope, okay, let us say for example, you need to conduct and process audit of your supplier, let us say for example. It is your scope, right? Process of your supplier, okay, XYZ supplier. Now, after you define a scope, what is your objective for that particular supplier when you are going for an audit? What you are going to do? You are going to evaluate the supplier's quality management system, right? So why you are going for an audit? So objective is for supplier selection, right? So you need to ask why to audit, right? So you are going to that supplier, right? You are auditing that processes. Why? In order to select a supplier. So basically it is a supplier selection audit, right? It could be supplier monitoring, it could be supplier re-evaluation, it could be an internal audit. You're like checking the effectiveness of the corrective actions like implemented. It could be only an FMEA implementation audit, right? It could be your stage 1 audit. It could be pre-assessment audit, right? So these are like some of the examples of the objectives mentioned, right? It could be for checking the internal performance, like evaluation, right? So these are like your objectives, which you need to define, basically. Okay, sir? Yes, anybody else who has raised the hand sometime back, I think sir has lowered the hand. I hope you have got answer of your question. Maybe because of that reason you have lowered your hand, right? Yes, Shashi sir.
That means, that means in objective, as you have written down, why to audit. And in the criteria, you said against.
Against what?
SOR, against means SOR, other the regulations and other the statutory requirement like the regulatory requirement. That means objective and criteria, as you can see, why to audit. That means in objective basically, and the criteria. Suppose if it is a SOR, either it is a regulation, government regulation. So in objective, if you have written down why to audit, that means in objective we have to see that existing practices is meet regulations or not, as it is defined.
Yes. Yeah, that will be fully scope. I'll when I say objective is let us say supplier selection, okay? Right?
Right.
And in criteria, you define as only star customer specific requirement. Let us say for example. Okay? Now, when you go for an audit at that particular supplier end for supplier selection, you will be auditing, you will be collecting objective evidences only related to star customer specific requirement criteria only. You will not audit or you will not collect objective evidences for any other criteria. This is what I am trying to tell you when I say criteria. If you say IATF standard, okay, 16949 plus star customer specific requirement. So in that case, what will happen? When you collect an objective evidences, right, you will also record the observations against IATF requirement as well as against star customer specific requirement. So I have defined the criteria,
Yes, but
objective.
Abhijit,
So
sorry.
you see my point, sir?
Hi, yes, sir, no issue. But if you can see, the scope is also a little bit near to the criteria. As you said, the star process.
The scope is only what to audit. When I say what to audit, when you are going to a supplier end, okay? What are you going to audit? Are you going to audit his system? Are you going to audit his process? Are you going to audit his product? Are you going to audit a specific line? Are you going to audit a specific part number? Are you going to audit a specific department? Are you going to audit a specific competency level in the organization? What is your scope? What is your boundary? That will define your scope. And for that particular what, right? For that particular what, you need to define an objective.
Right, sir. I understood near about, but as you in the case of star, as you said just right now ago, some moments ago, the star, the supplier selection procedure, as you said just right now.
Yes, I have just quoted an example.
Right. Then,
Yeah.
then, sir, supplier selection procedure is a criteria in this case. And what is will be the scope in this case?
Scope would be, sir, supplier selection. What would be in that when you are going for a supplier selection, okay? What are you going to audit? When you are going for a supplier selection, what you are going to audit? Are you going to audit his system? Are you going to audit his process? Are you going to audit his product? Or you are going to audit all three? That is what you need to define.
Okay. That means that we can say if as we see about the Venn diagram, in terms of Venn diagram, we can say the criteria is a bigger circle and the scope is line that within the criteria circle, right?
Yes, sir. Criteria is extension to a scope.
Okay.
That's why I have told you criteria is against what to audit.
Okay. As I said, the Venn diagram, criteria as you said, it is the bigger circle. Scope is the smaller circle and lies within this, the criteria circle. And objectives are
bigger circle, sir. Scope will define the boundary. This is my scope. In scope, I have criteria and I have objective.
Chỉ một giải thơm chua nhưng mà thơm.
Right? And this basically is like when I say scope, this scope is part of like this criteria is an extension of the scope. And for this scope, you also need to define an objective. And when you will be collecting an evidences, this objective and criteria should be linked with each other.
Trong này còn túi nhỏ bài chị.
Because when you are collecting an objective evidences, these objective evidences should be against the criteria. If I say in your criteria there is only customer specific requirement, okay? So when you are auditing, when you are collecting an evidences should be in line with the CSR requirements only. You are not supposed to collect objective evidences outside the customer specific requirement document or a customer specific requirement criteria.
Hai bác đi em anh thầy.
Okay, that means the scope is the bigger circle.
Absolutely. So for example, here in the case when you conduct an internal audit, okay?
Chia đôi đấy.
Yes. Okay. So scope is what? What to audit? Is your system
Cái này em chỉ
quality management system, right? Or I would say integrated management system. This is my scope.
Yes.
Okay, and in that particular system, if you define that I have to conduct an internal audit, let us say for a quality management system, I will select a specific part number only when I conduct an internal audit.
chia sơ rồi.
So that will define my scope of an internal audit.
That is the criteria, no?
No.
You said earlier.
Không để vào đây đâu, đây ngồi.
What to audit? I have to audit a quality management system, okay? I have to audit a product. Right? And what is an objective? It is to conduct an internal audit.
Yes.
Why? for a readiness assessment for let us say IETF certification. That is my objective.
Okay.
Right, to take a readiness review. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right, and for that objective, what is my criteria? IETF 16949 2016. Right, so IETF covers your CSRs, your processes, procedures, SOPs, instructions, competency, everything is covered. So when you will conduct an internal audit, you will be collecting objective evidences, ensuring all the requirements of IETF 16949 are implemented in the organization. So the major purpose of internal audit, when I say, is you check the system implemented, the system defined versus system implemented, the gap between the system definition and system implementation. That is what the purpose of your internal audit is. You need to check that when you conduct an internal audit. Are we clear?
Yes, sir. Right now it's yeah, sir. Okay, sir. More clear.
Shall I move on to the next point then?
Yes,
Any
sir.
other question to anyone? If no question, I will move on to next point. Okay? Yeah. Now my next question is, the next point which we are going to discuss is, what are the different types of audits?
Different types of audit. Sorry.
System audit, process audit, defect audit, product audit, system này, product process.
Chuẩn bị
Yes,
raise
can
your hand.
anyone?
Sơ đồ chiều cao sơ đồ hơn 50 em nữa. Cái này là có phải do đến một không?
You just need like view. Nào trên nào anh đổi 5 view bằng 0.127.
Ôi mà ơi.
Process audit, product layout, first party, second party, third party, system, process. Okay. System, process, product, system, process, internal audit, second party, third party. Okay. The only correct answer here is given by Praveen sir. First party, second party and third party, right? There are only 3 types of audit class. First party, second party and third party, and all others, right? Those we have mentioned, product, process, right? Internal audit, they are all part of these 3 categories. Okay, right? Now when I say first party audit, okay? First party audit is nothing but when an internal auditor conducts an audit of his own organization or an audit conducted of an organization internally, right? So when an internal auditor, okay, conducts an audit of an organization, okay, that we call it as a first party audit. Okay. Now, second party audit. Second party audit is audit conducted by an organization, right, of his supplier. So it is organization to supplier. We call it as a second party audit. Right? And what is third party audit? Third party audit is audit conducted by an independent auditing body, which we call it as a certification body. They are the independent bodies and which offer certification. that particular audit we call it as a third party audit. Now here this is like when we get a certification, right? That particular audit we call it as a certification audit. And when the independent body, right, like for example Ford QN, right? Ford Q1 is a certification which is provided by Ford Motors to their suppliers. In order to take Ford Q1 certification, right, you need to implement, there are 4 requirements in order to get Ford Q1 certification. One is you need to implement IATF standard, you need to implement 14001 standard, you need to implement 45001 standard, and you need to implement MMOG in order to get Ford Q1 certification. So this Ford Q1 certification is not given by certification bodies. This is given by Ford, which is an independent body, right? So this we call it as a third party audit. Are we clear with this? What are the types of audits? Okay. Anybody else? Any doubt? Mahadev sir has no queries. Any other question? Any other query? Yes, Lee, I'll repeat it for you once again. Look, when I say first party audit, okay, first party audit is audit conducted within organization, okay, by an internal auditor. Second party audit is audit conducted by organization to his suppliers, right? When the star goes to their suppliers, right, to conduct an audit, that we call it as a second party audit. Okay? And when a certification body, right, independent certification body, right, Arvind sir, who is your certification body?
BBC.
Yes, sir.
Who is your certification body?
Bureau Veritas.
Bureau Veritas, okay, right? So when Bureau Veritas, right, comes for an audit, right, and they give you a certification, a valid certification of what I would say the system implementation, right? That audit we call it as a third party audit. So is it clearly? Okay, thank you. Yes, so any doubts, class? Shall I move on to next point? Okay, so the next point which I am going to discuss is a very important point, right? So it is basically auditor responsibility. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So it is auditor responsibility. Now, when I say auditor responsibility, there are 3 important points which an auditor should basically keep in his mind, that whenever you are auditing, right, as an auditor, what you are supposed to do, right, what value addition you are supposed to do, right? So there are 3 points which you need to take care of. First is the intent. Okay. Second one is your effectively implemented or not. So effective implementation.
Effective. Improve.
And third one is effectiveness in practice. Right now, what you need to ensure here, right? When you go for an audit, right? What is important? First thing is you need to check the intent, right? Now, when I say intent, is whether the organization has understood the clause requirement or not. This is the first important point. Like as an auditor, you should use this approach first. Identify whether the organization has understood the standard requirements or not. If they have not understood the intent of the standard, right, it means there is a major gap in the system. If they not in a position to implement the system requirements, to implement the standard requirements. So this is the first point which you need to check. Second point, after system. Now if system is available, what you need to check? You need to check whether that system is effectively implemented or not. Now when I say it is effectively implemented or not, is you need to see whether they are doing what they are saying, right? So when I say, if like let us say for example, the organization has defined a system for customer satisfaction, let us say, they have a process, okay? But when you audit the customer satisfaction process, you observe that, let us say for example, they have given one point that they have defined a criteria for the rating. Let us say for on-time delivery, they have defined a criteria. For quality, they have defined a criteria. But when you audit, you basically audit to not consider rating for evaluating customer satisfaction. What does it mean? That they have a system not effectively implemented. It means that whatever they have written, they are not following. Or many times it happens that, right, when we do the conversation, right, when we do the interview, we come to know that they keep on saying a lot of things. We do this, we do that. But when you verify a document, you will come to know that it is not written anywhere else. Are you getting my point? Sir, I am connected to Wi-Fi, so I don't know why voice is cracking, but then again you need to check your connections. Am I audible now? I mean, is my voice clear to all of you? Okay, Lee, thank you. Yeah, so basically, first is you need to check the intent, right? So whether the system is available or not. After that, you need to check the effective implementation, right? Which means, like say what you do what you say. So this you need to basically verify. And if system is there, it is effectively implemented. What you need to check at last is whether the system which is effectively implemented is effectiveness in practice, right? Evident. Now let us say for example, we have a process for management review meeting, right? And all the inputs as mentioned in clause number 9.3, right, are covered in the MRM agenda. But in the frequency, they have defined that every year we will be conducting MRM. But when you review the last 3 years MRM data, you come to know that from last 2 years, they have not conducted management review meeting. It means what? They have a system, they have implemented, but it is not effective. So they are doing it on their wish, right? They feel like doing it, they are conducting MRM. If they don't feel like doing it, they are not conducting, right? So this is basically impacting an effectiveness of a system. So this is what you need to evaluate, right? So these three are the major, I would say, criteria which an auditor should evaluate while auditing. So this is the basic responsibility of an auditor. When you conduct an audit, you need to ensure these three basic points. Are we clear on this? Any doubt? Okay, Mangesh sir, I'll repeat with example. I'll take one example and I will relate that with all the three parameters, okay? Now when I say intent is basically about the system, okay? Now let us say management review meeting, okay? What the MRM says, the clause says 9.3 that you need to conduct MRM at planned intervals. Okay. So now here you need to first of all check a system that whether the organization has a system for conducting a planned interval or not. Right? Conducting MRM at planned interval or not. If that is there, it means the system is there, right? So there could be a procedure, there could be a process for conducting the management review meeting. Right? So this is as far as the system is concerned. Right? Now if system is there, so they have a process, right, on like conducting environment and now what you are going to see whether that system is effectively implemented or not. So if you remember, I have told you 6 characteristics, right? Process owner exists. Okay, Lee. I'll speak slowly. If you remember, I have told you 6 characteristics of a process. Process owner exists. Process is defined. Process is documented, process is monitored, right? Then process is evaluated and process records are maintained. Okay, so here, whatever you have defined, have you documented or not? That is what your system is. Okay, and in simple words, like when I say intent, if you need to ensure all the shall requirements are implemented by the organization and whether they have understood the intent of these shall requirements or not, apart from all other should, may, can requirements, right? This is what I would say, you can keep this in mind, right? When I say intent, whether organization has understood the shall requirements of the standard or not, and whether they have a system for that particular shall requirement. Okay? Now, the organization has a process for MRM. Now, what you need to check, effectively implemented. What standard is saying that when you are conducting an MRM, you need to cover like 10 to 12 MRM input points, right, for conducting an MRM. So this is again a part of a system. Okay. Now, when you review the MRM action plan, when you review the MRM minutes of meeting, you come to know that out of 12 points, only 6 points were discussed in the management review meeting. And the remaining 6 points were not discussed, were not taken care of. It means what? The system which they have defined, they are not implementing it, or whatever they have written, they are not following. So that is why, that is where you call it that, you say that the system is not effectively implemented. Okay, now, this is point number 2. Now, they have a process, they are covering all the 12 points in their MRM, right? They have the action points against each and every MRM point, agenda point. But the MRM is happening in unplanned intervals, right? So let's say you have reviewed last 3 years of MRM data, you have come to know that only, let us say, last to last year the MRM was conducted, last year MRM was not conducted, and this year they have conducted an MRM. Okay? It means what? System is defined, it is implemented, but it is not effective. Right? So this is how you can relate these 3 terminologies, right? And you have to review these points as an auditor. This is your responsibility to ensure that organization has understood the intent they have effectively implemented the system, and there is an effectiveness in practice as far as that system is concerned. Are we clear? Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah. So any doubts, class? If no, I will move on to the next point. Yes, class. Any doubts, any queries? If no, I will move on to the next point. Okay, class. Okay, so I'll move on to the next point. Next point is auditor personal attributes. Okay, as an auditor, what are the attributes you should possess? For all audit point, a request to explain with example. Okay, sir, sure. Yeah. My next point, my next like agenda for discussion is auditor personal attributes, right? Now, when I say auditor personal attributes, so these are basically the attributes, the etiquette an auditor should possess, right? Whenever he goes for an audit, right? He could be internal auditor, he could be external auditor, it could be supplier auditor, it could be any auditor, right? So, what are the attributes an auditor should possess? Right? First of all, an auditor should be ethical. Right? Now, when I say ethical, right, an auditor should stick to the objective evidences only. Right? When he is reporting, right, when he is writing his report, the reports should be, the reports should be truthful and should be unbiased. Right? The report, basically what happens many times, when we have a good relation with the auditee, right? When we have a good relation with the auditee, you might have noticed that the auditors report the audit findings, right, to make a colleague feel better. Right? They basically they do the settlement, right? I mean, like the auditee will tell him one of the observations, as in like this is an NC, please report it in your the observation sheet, and please provide other good observations in the report, right? So you should not conduct an audit just to make just to make your colleague feel better, right? It should be unbiased and it should be truthful. And basically what you should do is you should refrain yourself from ideal gossip and ensure the confidentiality of an information. Right? This is what I would say an ethical auditor should possess all these qualities. Okay? Are we clear with this? When I say ethical? Any doubts? Okay. Next person auditor an auditor should possess is he should be open-minded. Right? Now when I say open-minded, right? Look, as an auditor, right? Considering the practical aspect of the auditing, as an auditor, you may occasionally observe non-traditional methods of applying a requirement. Okay? But just because the process is unconventional, it does not mean it is wrong. Okay? What as an auditor you should do, as an auditor, you are required to assess if the application fulfills a requirement and it is effective in achieving the objective. Right? This is very important. Okay? And when I say you need to ensure, right, I mean, as an auditor, you basically need to assess whether the application fulfill a requirement, right? And the second important point here in this that just because the process is unconventional, disliking a process is not a solution, right? Because you are not supposed to judge the process. You are supposed to check whether the process which is followed by the organization is meeting the intent, is meeting the requirements or not. Okay, are we clear with this? As far as open-minded attribute is concerned, any doubt? Okay, sir. Thank you. The next point is diplomatic. Okay. An auditor should also be diplomatic, right? Why I say this? This is a very important attribute you should possess. Because many times I have seen, right? I mean, when the auditors are at the basic level, at the basic level, they jump into an argument,
Cãi nhau.
right? When the audit does not go by, by the way they have basically defined it, right? So, as an auditor, you should be calm and you should be courteous, right? Being calm and courteous will certainly make a difference,
Cam là dũng cảm.
right? Between what I would say a product audit, like the interview, and you will basically be able to avoid the embarrassing and awkward situation which may lead to one-way conversation, right? So be calm, be composed, listen to the auditee carefully, right? If you are not able to make any conclusion, right, don't show the auditee that you have not understood the requirement, right? You can ask on different questions, you can post on different types of questions, and you can basically identify the other, what I would say, the objective evidences, right? Then next personal attribute is your observant, right? An auditor should be a good observer, right? Because auditing, when I say, it is about more than asking a question, right? Why I say this is, auditor should be able to assess the environment, right? When I say they should be, it is more than about asking a question. Is you need to be a good observer, right? So you should be able to assess the environment, right? Adherence to the clothing could be there, right? Safety protocols, flow of activities, right? Flow of your the material is there, material identification, right? There could be storage and preservation activities which could be happening around you, right? And all this you have to do while you remain attentive to a person with whom you are speaking to, right? So this particular attribute will make you a good auditor, right? And these all attributes will not be developed overnight, right? You will have to keep on auditing, you will have to keep on practicing, and slowly, steadily, you will be able to develop these these auditor attributes, right? Next point in this is your perception, right? An auditor should be perceptive enough. Now, when I say perceptive, right, you should be able to get the auditive views fast, right? And this is only possible if you have a strong knowledge about the product or a process or a system you are supposed to audit, right? Because there may be a risk associated with the process, right? Like for example, there could be an invalidated test report. There could be hidden defects, right? There could be wrong reports which have been generated, right? So this is only possible, right, when you have a process understanding, when you have a system understanding. So you need to be perceptive enough, right, in order to capture all these requirements. Okay. Second, another important point in auditor attribute is versatility, right? Now, when I say versatile, an auditor should be flexible enough, right? Now, when I say flexible, what I mean by this is, you as an auditor should not have your own preferences, right? Because audit, right? It is a real-time activity, right? It may happen that someone may get sick, someone may get a customer call, right? Power may go off, right? But auditor, right, should assess such situation to see how the process is controlled or the activity is carried out, basically, right? Because you basically have to see, right? Because this is the best situation where you can basically observe, evaluate how the system is how the system is implemented, right? When the process is not running as defined, right? Many times it may happen that you may have to revise an audit plan, right? You may have to reassign the roles and responsibilities. You may have to you may have to change the assignments of an audit team, right? Those who might have, like those who have attended the opening meeting of a certification, like audit, those they might recollect, they might remember that they provide you an opportunity in the opening meeting, right? They ask you whether do you need any change in the audit plan or do you need to shuffle an audit plan or an audit timing, right? So they also basically understand. They basically try to be flexible enough, right, in order to provide you an opportunity because they also understand that it is a real-time activity, right? There could be a change in an audit plan. There could be a change in the audit, the assignments or roles and responsibilities, right? So these are some of the important auditor attributes which an auditor should possess. Okay? If you have any doubts, any queries in this, please raise your hand and ask your questions or drop in your messages in the chat box. Just last, any doubts, any queries? Okay. Now, the written details is, look, basically, our material covers all these points, but I am basically, I am trying to tell you the intent, right? I am basically trying to give you the understanding of these requirements. Everything which I am teaching, right? Everything which I am discussing with you all is available in the material. Okay, Lee, thank you. Look, I'll tell you one thing. Audit is something which cannot be taught. How to audit, it cannot be taught. It depends on the individual, right? It depends on his expertise, his knowledge, his understanding, and his years of, I would say, the experience, right? Only thing I can tell you is what are the requirements to be ensured while you conduct an audit, right? So whatever I am discussing here is I am sharing my experience, right? I am sharing my knowledge with you all. Because audit is something which cannot be taught, how to conduct an audit or how to perform an audit. But I can basically share you, share with you my experience of like my auditing career, which I have basically when I used to do the internal audits and when I used to do supplier audits or the customer audits. Right, and this is again, now if you are basically interested, right, if you have that zeal of becoming an auditor, then only you will be able to conduct an audit. You cannot be, it cannot be forced to someone to conduct an audit, right? If he is not willing to conduct an audit, he may not add value when he conducts an audit, right? So it is, you should love the auditing, right? And you should basically utilize or bring in your expertise, bring in your knowledge of like so many years into this particular auditing, what I would say, the activity. Yes, Arvind sir, if you have any questions, sir, please unmute yourself.
No, I have no question. I wanted to share one point. It is important for us. That this is a training that is being shared with you for two objectives, which is the right time to share with you to understand. One is, you should always be a part of the system and try to do audit. The more auditors we have trained, the better it is for our system.
Right.
Number one, go forward. All of us may not be comfortable doing audit.
Right.
It is a normal habit. Like for me, as an individual, doing audit is very normal. It's very normal. I can do audit of any process, any system. Just give me about half a day to understand, and I can do. But there will be some other team members, even with 2 days of preparation, they will not be able to.
Right.
So the objective of this class is one, to prepare a line of auditors for our ongoing improvements in the system. Second thing is, even if you are not an auditor and you play the role of auditing, then also this will help you.
Yes.
It's about it. So, am I clear on the intent, what I'm trying to say here?
Yes, sir. I think what about others? Others must have understood now. And this can be, this particular auditing skill can be developed when you maintain the competency level of an auditor, right? So at least once in a year you should conduct an audit, at least I'm saying, right? So that you should keep yourself upgraded and updated about the standard requirements, about the system requirements. Otherwise, what will happen if you audit once in a while, right? You may forget how to audit, right? You may not be upgraded with the standard. What is the standard requirement? What is your current system? What are your processes? Okay? Yes, class, if you have any doubts, any queries, please share your views if you have any. Okay, I'll proceed further then. Yeah. So basically another next point which I want to discuss with you is the 6M methodology for audit, right? So this is not mentioned in any of the material, but this is based on my experience. I call it as 6M methodology, right? Why do I call it as a 6M methodology? I am going to tell you now, right? Now when I say 6M, right? So it is basically man, machine, method, material, measurement, and mother nature or environment, right? So now let us say when you are conducting an audit, right? If you come across a conversation with man, right? A manpower worker, operator, employee, anyone. Right? What you can look for is, you can look for a recruitment data, you can look for an on-job training data, you can basically check for the awareness, right? You can check the competency level of the supervisors or the operators or the line engineers working on the shop floor, right? This is what you can basically relate to as far as man is concerned, right? Next is your machine, right? So when I say machine, what you can look for in this? You can look for a breakdown data, right? You can look for a maintenance plan, right? You can look for the OEE percentage. You can look for MTTR or MTBF data. You can look for the critical spares, right? Availability of critical spares, identification of critical your equipment, machines. What are the criteria defined for a critical machine or a critical spare? What is the minimum safety limit? What is the minimum safety stock limit, or what is the maximum safety stock limit? So these all points you can consider under the machine section. So it is mean time to repair and mean time between failure, Vishal sir. So when I say mean time to repair should be high. Sorry, it should be less, and mean time between failure should be high. When I say MTTR in a layman's language, I would say it is time required to repair a machine.
Anybody from maintenance in this session?
Yes, please admit yourself. Yes, if you have any question. Yes, anybody want to share their views on this concept MTTR, MTBF? Anyone from maintenance here? Okay, so Vishal, as I have told you, mean time to repair is nothing but the time taken for the maintenance activity, right? The time taken to repair, right? So it should be as less as possible. And mean time between failure is after you perform the maintenance activity, after what time the breakdown has taken place, right? So it should be, I mean, there should be a maximum time in between the failures, right? Sir, how to link it with JH sheet? Maybe we can discuss it offline, because if I try to discuss this point here, I may not be able to cover my agenda point. So maybe if you have any doubt, we can discuss it offline, sir. Okay, Vishal sir, thank you. Yeah, okay, so next point is method, right? Now when I say method, it is basically the work instructions which are followed, processes, or how the non-conforming products are controlled, how the preservation is taking place, I would say how the product is handled in the shop floor, right? So what are the methods which are used basically? So it will depend on the departments and functions and the processes you are auditing. But in mention you can consider this point, right? Next point is your material, right? So when I say material, right? So it is basically the parts related to your the incoming inspection, right? Your supplier selection evaluation, right? It could be related to the tooling design. It could be related to tool life. It could be the history cards, right? It could be tool development. It could be your what I would say the consumables, right, which are used in the shop floor. So you can basically verify how the materials are approved, right? How the materials are released, how the materials are inspected, okay? How the material selection is carried out, the suppliers who are responsible for what I would say the material distribution and document activities, right? So you can basically identify these particular points in this material section. Okay. Next item is measurement. So this measurement is nothing but, as the name suggests, it is basically the calibration data or the GRR data of the instrument, bias studies, linearity studies, stability studies, your laboratory performance, it could be your final layout, it could be your product audits, it could be your process audits, it could be doc audit, it could be your in-process inspection, right? So this all will basically fall under the measuring section, right? So this all you can consider in this particular measurement point. Last point is your environment or mother nature. So in this, basically, you can review the software condition, right? Software environment. Is there any humidity requirement? Is there any temperature requirement? Is there any requirement related to dust prevention, or how how the what I would say, what is the contamination, what I was trying to say is contamination related points you can make a note of, right? Identification traceability related points, right? How non-conforming material is getting handled, right? During your shop floor visit. So these are like some of the examples in this particular 6M methodology. So this particular methodology you can use while auditing. So you can basically try to capture the, try to collect the objective evidences related to these particular points. Okay, any doubts in this class? This class, any doubts, any queries? Okay. Okay, so next point which I am going to cover is what are the requirements of an audit plan, what an audit plan should cover. Okay, in your audit plan, right, when you are preparing an audit plan, I would recommend first of all the opening meeting and closing meeting should come. It is not a shall requirement, right? Generally opening meeting and closing meeting, right? Why I am discussing this point is in the during the certification audit, right, during the third party audit, these points are covered. But if you make this as a practice in the internal audit, what will happen? It will basically develop the team building, right? It will basically develop an approach, a cross-functional approach or a multidisciplinary approach when you basically initiate the opening meeting and closing meeting for your internal audit. That will basically, right, what will happen, will provide an opportunity for others to speak if they have any doubts, any queries or any suggestions, any improvements related to the audits which have been conducted, right? So your audit plan, what your audit plan should include is, first, in your audit plan, there should be an audit scope, right? There should be audit objective, there should be audit criteria, right? You need to prepare an audit plan considering the processes, right? The time of an audit, okay? The number of auditors, right? You need to have a separate document which you can link it with this, as in the competency of your internal auditors also, okay? Now, in your audit plan, right, apart from all these requirements, what should be there? So you should start with the opening meeting, right? This should be the first point. Second point is, when you start an audit, start with a discussion, with the top management, right? So try to keep a top management meeting. So the top management meeting, when you put it in your audit plan, this will basically, what will happen if you audit the top management first, you will basically come to know how much top management is involved as far as the system implementation and sustenance is concerned. So you will come to know the goals, the objectives of an organization, right? Review the MRM points, review the continual improvement projects, review the support required, review whether the resources are provided by the management or not, right? You can review the capex plan, right? What are the short-term goals? What are the long-term goals, right? What is the vision of an organization, right? So if the management is accountable enough, if they are like completely involved in the implementation and sustenance of the system, you will come to know that the people down the line are also like able to like complete their task, right, and are able to give their best as far as system sustenance or implementation is concerned, right? So that should be your second point in the audit plan. Then you should, if required, what you can do, like before the top management meeting, right? You can have a plant tour, right? This is an optional requirement, right? But generally, plant tour is what I would say is compulsory when there is an certification audit which takes place, because the third-party auditors, which like when they come to your location, to your workplace, they are not aware about your process, right? Your process flow. So in internal audit, it is not mandatory, but if there is a cross audit, let us say for example, if other plant auditors are coming, right, to audit your let us say plant or location, so in that case you can keep 10 to 15 minutes of your plant round, right, just to give them a feel of how the products, how the material is basically moving or like flowing from incoming to the dispatching. Then in your audit plan, you should include the processes, right? Now, when I say processes, in this audit plan, all the processes which you have identified as per clause number 4.4, right? COP, MOP and SOP, all the processes as per your master list should be covered in the audit plan. This is very clear. If the processes as per master list and audit plan, if there is a gap, right, there will be an entry. Okay, and for all the processes, you should mention the audit time, okay, and who is going to audit. So that should be there in your audit plan. Then, if required, you can put in between tea breaks and coffee breaks if required, right? And then have a lunch break, okay? That also you should mention that lunch break timing, right? Then like continue with the processes, and then what you can have is you can have a briefing section for the auditors, right? Briefing time, wherein all those auditors who have conducted the audit, they can meet, they can discuss their findings, and if there are any input suggestions for them, right? If there are any doubts, any queries, if there are any risks associated with the audit, they can discuss, they can sort it out, and then you can close for the day, right? So this is what you should basically include, and then you can have a closing meeting, right? Depending on the number of days of the audits, right? If it is a one-day audit, then closing meeting will come on the same day. If it is a two-day audit, then closing meeting will come on the next day. And you should also provide some time for report writing, so that what will happen, you will get the time for basically writing down the observations, so that in the closing meeting you can basically discuss your findings, your